And I'm going to go ahead and share the screen. So good morning, everybody. I'm glad you could join us today. We are going to be talking about some Divi modules. So as we start getting deeper into using your library website in more ways than just simply adding a post or doing a very simple update, we're going to talk a little bit more about the structure of Divi and what the different tools that you have within the Divi builder are. If you did not participate, in fact, this is a really good place. If I can pause this right here on my screen, if you're, give me a thumbs up if you're seeing the Libraries Win website service training page. Awesome, great. So Divi Builder 101 was a session that we had a few weeks ago, back in June, I believe. Anyway, the recording is available on YouTube, and I'm going to show you in 2 seconds how else you can see it. This, if you haven't watched this or you didn't participate in it, it might be good to go back and look at that before today's session. Otherwise, today's session is building on the Divi Builder 101. And again, Divi Builder is what our website uses as its theme tool for constructing the and making a human interface, a human interactive interface to what otherwise would be a lot of code language work and machine language in order to build what you see in front of you. So what you're seeing in front of you today is a little exciting. This is our new Libraries Win website service training page. So previously, and it's still there, the Lean Wisconsin website services webpage still has all documentation and information on it, but slowly, as I have time, we're going to be transitioning to using this as our new training page. So if you write down training.librarieswin.org, this is going to be built out and have it as a page. It will be searchable. It has our calendar of upcoming training events. Right now has a little survey on it to see if anybody's interested in person. It has contact information, our basic information about office hours. And again, this is a searchable website. So if you're coming on here and you're looking for information, you can actually just put in login and see. And if I have not log on. No. Logging in, admin. I'm trying to remember what I use for tags. I'm adding tags. Okay, so if there is a site that actually or a result that uses one of those terms, I'm going to work on tagging. Obviously, login is one that I need to work on, but we'll be adding information. So if you come in here, the post slider right now has a lot of information on different, or has some of the tools. So if you were using the other one, what we have, if you click on it, instead of having a text document that you download now, all of this is going to be in a blog post. So this talks about the Divi Builder 101 information. And if you are a person who prefers listening or seeing something, click on jump to video. And if we have done a website office hour on it, it will be down here. So a couple weeks ago, we did a background on how Divi works. Today, we're going to talk about the modules within Divi. So as a quick reminder, the way Divi is set up is it gives us this blue section box, which is then broken into rows, which are full width in 90% of the cases are full width rows. So you can put multiple rows within a box of a section. And then within those rows, you can add modules. And the modules will be added in, you just select the division of your row. You can do one large module all the way across. You can divide it into two, into thirds, into quarters. Then you can also do 2/3 column, 1/3 column. There's different options within adding those rows. So that's how the Divi is structured. Today, this picture is demonstrating just a bunch of image modules. Today, we're going to talk about some of the different kinds of modules that you can mix and match within your Divi builder. for building out a web page. So I also have a section here called, so we're going to have the categories of website 101, website training, but then we have our demonstration pages. And our first demonstration page is today's page, which is Divi modules, text toggle, image and gallery, blog, and post slider. I'm going to show you today what it looks like on the front, and then I'm going to demonstrate how it looks in the builder and how each module functions within this. So today's website demonstration, we have our Divi modules. And again, this page shows samples of the following Divi modules. We have our text and toggle, image and gallery, and our blog and post slider. So the front end, this is what it looks like on a front end. The text module is simply exactly what it says. This is a text module. We can do some things with it to dress it up and play with it a lot, but this is what a very, very basic, simple text module looks like on the front end when it's published. A toggle box module has a drop-down button on it, and that will drop down content underneath it. So you can collapse information. Maybe you have a lot of information on a page, but you want people to see what all the content is. And when you click on it, that will create a toggle drop-down. An image module is exactly what it seems. It's just an image. We can, again, add some features to it, and we'll go into the background and we'll see how to add features, but this is what an image module looks like. Note that this is a text module up above the image module. So this, if you just insert the image module, you will not see this piece above. I've just added that for clarity. The gallery module allows you to see multiple different images. So an image module is one image. A gallery module will have multiple different images. And in this case, we already had it is already set up to do the light box, which when you click on the image, it will just pop it up and make it larger in front of you. It doesn't lead anywhere at this point. There's no links. It doesn't have any action other than popping up larger images, but this is a gallery module. And then our two final ones is a blog module and a post slider module. Notice I'm doing these in pairs because the first two deal with text, the second two deal with static images. The final two pairs deal with blog posts. So when you create a post on your website, and this is something we've talked about a few times, your web page may have a post slider on the front page that clicks through all of your posts from a certain category. And you may also have a more static place in your website, maybe a program page, adult or children's page that pulls modules or pulls blog posts from different categories and creates fills in the information in a blog module. So the blog module is set up to use the same information as a post slider, but it presents it in a static scrolling information. So here we have the Divi Builder 101, copying and cloning a page to your website and accessing your page for the first time. You scroll down and you see each one of those versus the post slider where it slides that same information in a dynamic and moving situation. So those are the 6 modules we're going to look at today. Any questions before I start showing you how they're added and what you can do with them? Okay, cool. Pop anything that you think of into the chat or just go ahead and pipe up. You're welcome to add any thoughts you might have. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually edit this page. I'm going to go to the backside, the backend editor, so that you can get an idea of what these look like in the Divi builder structure on the back end. And again, remember we have our front end editor or our visual editor. This is what you edit it when it looks like what the people are going to see. Here we're going to edit on the back end, which is the Divi block layout. So we have our purple Divi block. We have our green section with a row and a blurb. And we're not going to talk about blurb modules in particular today, other than to draw your attention that this is the blurb module that you are seeing here. And it just is, it's just what I'm using as a header for this page right now. And I may come and change all this later, who knows. There is a section now, and it has a row with a divider. That divider is this bar right here. So it takes up a lot more space on this backside. But now we're going to get down to our row that contains our modules, our sample modules. So we'll start with the text and toggle module. First question is, how do you add a module to your website? When you're looking at the backend builder, it's simply a matter of clicking on one of these black pluses. A green plus, you can add a new row, but a black plus will have you add a new module. So on the backend builder, if underneath my text module, I click on the plus, I have this insert module menu pop up. And we have a whole variety of options to choose from. So again, today, out of this whole selection, we are going to talk about 6 of them. And in this case, it's a text module. And if I click on that, it's going to add the text module over on this page. And then it's going to give me my text settings menu. Since I already have one, I'm just going to delete that real quick, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to edit the text setting or the text module on this side. So this is the one that exists already. It has, this is a text module. That's all it is. It's literally some letters that I have put into the body of the text right here. This is, when you open up the module editor, you have the menu or the editor drop downs. This just opens up little individual editing modes. So we're going to look at the text right now. It's the body of the text. You have a few options in here. You can create a heading level. So if I wanted my text module to be a heading 3, I could add that in here. I can do a few things as far as changing maybe the color. I can do a couple of things with strike through or bold and italics, and do some other simple, fairly simple formatting pieces within that. So if I wanted to see what that looks like, I can preview my changes. And this is what usually how I work is if I'm working on the back end, I will have this over here, and then I will have a second tab that has my editor. And so now I've got, this is a text module in blue, bold, and italics. If I wanted to do some more things with it, my text can be more than just text. I can also create a link. So if I wanted this to be a link to a new place, maybe I've got let me go to the Divi builder. And Divi builder happens to have some documentation on the plugin. And I am going to insert that into my link box. And I want the target to be in a new tab so that it doesn't, so that it opens up next to my other one. And I'm going to save that there. And now I'm going to preview my changes. And when I hover over this now, you notice that my pointer turns into the hand, and I can click on it and it will open in a new tab with the Divi text module documentation. So if you wanted to read about how how Divi wants to sell their text module or train you on their text module, this is a really good resource right here. There's a few other things you can do with the text module. It's, again, pretty basic. You can put as much text in here as you want. You can change your paragraph. The text module is a handy way of presenting some text information to your website. Save that, and I'm going to preview my changes again. And now I have some more text within here. So if you just want to create some text and some information, again, the link is still there in the whole module is a link. So if they click anywhere on the module, it will open up the Divi builder. At some point, we'll get into some of our deeper discussions as far as adding background color. Now that you've got this, you could probably play with it a little bit. If you wanted to add a background color and see what that does and hit preview changes. This is really kind of getting into more of the advanced level. And I just want to stick to the basics today, because a lot of this can start playing with accessibility questions and how visually accessible your website is. So I would lay off, play with it, but don't do anything that you're going to publish. Again, the admin label, I am leaving text as my admin label. This is going to be the default. Your admin label default will be the name of the module type. Normally, you would update this to give it a label of what the content is on your website. Again, this is for screen readers and other accessibility tools. If it was a text about something, maybe it's summer reading brochure, or summer reading information, because it wouldn't actually be a brochure. You would add that information there so that a screen reader could grab it. In this case, it literally is what it is. It's text module. So I'm just going to leave that as it is. Our next comparative partner module is the toggle module, which is very similar to your text module, with the difference that it comes with the title. So this is a toggle module box, is going to be the title. And then your content is going to be what you see in that large drop down that comes in. You can do, again, a lot of pieces in here, maybe bullet points. You can use a toggle module box to display a large amount of information in a smaller space. It's more easily scannable by website visitor. So again, you can add your content and with your basic, and this is the same editor that you would see when you create a post. So if you're familiar with that, you can do some basic formatting in this area. It is also going to offer you the option in the state when the website is loaded. Do you want it to be closed or do you want it to be open? So do you want it to be open and have your website visitor close it when they want to get it out of their way? Or do you want to keep it closed and have your website visitor be able to open it with the click? You can link your module. I probably wouldn't do this because, again, the whole module is a link. So if a person is clicking in there trying to open it, it may detract from it, the function of the toggle box, but it is an option and you can play with that. Again, you have your background option and you have your admin label, and you would again label it to describe what the content of that toggle box is. Something I haven't talked about on either of these, and I just want to touch on, is this design option in here. Each one of these boxes is going to have a design option. I would approach this carefully and with a lot of practice. Pick yourself a place that you can play with some things, because again, you can get yourself pretty far down a rabbit hole in adding a lot of things that may make your website less accessible. One thing that you can do with the toggle box, though, is you can add an icon. So maybe you have more of a FAQ or something, and you want to indicate to your visitor that there is information that would answer questions in there. Or maybe you have a list of email addresses if you have a contact page or something. You can select an icon that would be more specific to your website. So if we change the icon to the question mark and we preview our changes, now that instead of that little plus default icon, there is a question mark right there. And then when the box is expanded, it goes to the line, and then becomes a question mark when it is closed. So there is some options that you can do in customizing your toggle boxes. A few other things under your design, and I might do this under the visual builder so you can see it better, but you can adjust your sizing and your spacing of your modules. Again, play with this with caution. You can kind of go down a lot of rabbit holes with this. Any questions on text or toggles? Okay. Well, then again, looking at our, and I'm going to go ahead and update this and just have all of our changes there. I'm going to look at our next set, which is the image and the gallery. So we've just done those two. Come on. There we go. Okay. So on the back side, again, we have our next divider item. And so, well, if my block editor, there it is. So I've done the text and toggle modules, and now I have the divider, which you see is that line right here. And now I have the two text modules that are naming the image and the gallery modules, but I'm going to work with the image module here. So the image module is pretty basic, or this one's pretty basic. I have added an image. If I wanted to change that image, I can trash it and click on add image. This brings up the whole selection of my media library. And I'm going to do library website media. And so maybe I want this to be Libby instead. So I will click a Libby image that I already have in my media library. Now I have the option of adding a link to my image. So there's two options that I can do here. One option is to open this in a lightbox. This will not add a link that will redirect your user, but it will create the opportunity to see a larger image. So I'm going to make this open in lightbox option. Click yes, and preview my changes. Now notice that my library love story has been replaced with Try Libby, and I click on that. And this is what is called opening in lightbox, where it brings it up to the middle and you just see a larger image. It doesn't do any other action, but if you had a thumbnail of an image and you wanted people to be able to just see a larger one, this is a very simple toggle tool to do that. What if I wanted my Libby to redirect? Let's see, let's go to get started with the Libby app. So I am going to come down to my Libby image module. And this time, instead of having open in Lightbox, I'm going to select image link URL and paste in the help with the Libby app website. And I'm going to have that open in a new tab. And again, save it, preview my changes. And now when I click on the Libby, it will open it up in a new page, the Getting Started with Libby link. That's right there, and it links to the new page. So let's go on to our gallery, which is very similar. Oh, just a couple other things on image. Again, you have your admin label. I'm leaving it alone this time because it is just an image, but you might want to change the admin label to Get Started with Libby. Then you have alignment, sizing, spacing, border. Box shadow is kind of fun. If you really want to get in and play with some things, you can add a shadow and you can adjust where you want it to be. This all depends on how much time you have to play with your website. You can really do a lot of stuff. And so now my Libby app has a box shadow around it. No longer looks like a circle because it's now a square, but that's, again, design choices for you to make. The text or the gallery module is the option to put in multiple different images. And you can choose how many images you want, the order that you want it in. Do you want it a random or a default? And usually default is the order that you uploaded them, but you can drag and drop them. And since I already have Libby here, let's say I want to add, I'm just going to click on the plus and select my library love story. And now I have that in my image gallery. And I'm going to move them around and do library love story first, then 1,000 books before kindergarten. And I can change the images and the number of images that I want, the order that I want them. And now there's show title and caption, and there's show pagination. Let's say I don't want, I'll show you what this means in a second. I'll save that as yes and yes. Also, I can add a module link. This is going to link the entire module, not the individual images. So if maybe all of this would link to a library online resources page, and that would have those individual items on it, but this is going to link to one place, not have you click on each individual item. And again, you have your background options and you have your admin label. So I'm going to save this. And now we have our different, we have our library love story here. It shows us right here that it takes the library, it takes the title of the image and creates a caption with it. If that's something you don't want, because library love story 2023 600 by 450 doesn't really mean a lot to a lot of people, I can come back in here and edit this and have the elements show title and caption. I'll just turn that off. Pagination, in this case, there really isn't any, we don't have more than, actually, we could show this real quick. Why don't I go up to images? I'm going to add library web media. I'm going to add a few more here, select. But then I don't want it, I only wanted to show 4 images at a time. So I am going to put the number 4 in there. So I have my 6 images, but I only wanted to show 4. I have 7 images. I can count. I do want it to show pagination. Let's see what this looks like. And now I have turned off the title and caption piece here. So when I hover over, it will only show the title as part of the website fundamental. Again, this is a screen reader accessibility piece, but then you have the pagination down here where it will show you the rest of the images on pages 1 and pages 2. So then you have all of that. And you can play again with the design and some other pieces as you wish under the design thing. Any questions on images and gallery? Okay, then we'll look at our blog modules and how these function. Again, I'm going to come to the back here. And we have 2 text modules, or we have 2 text modules above the blog module and the post slider module. Then under blog, so if I were to insert, I'm going to actually just show you what it looks like when I insert a new blog. So if I click on the black plus and I scroll down, these are in alphabetical order, if that's what you're trying to, if you're going to try to figure out. The problem half of the time is I can't remember whether toggle is an accordion or an accordion is toggle. So sometimes I have to insert it and then be like, oh no, that's not the one I wanted. But once you figure out, they are in alphabetical order. So what it is going to cue you with when you create a new blog module is it's going to ask you where you want the content to come from. Do you want to come from which post type? Do you want it to come from posts, pages, media, or projects. And we don't really use projects on our websites, but you could create a blog of just media information, just from your media library if you wanted to. And then what it's going to do, though, is just grab your number of items that you specify here. So if we have posts, our post count, how many posts do you want it to show? Right now, if I go back to my current blog settings, I have it set to 10 posts, and I'm going to change that to just 2. I can select my categories. I can select all categories, website 101 or website training, or both of them. You can check as many of these as you want, or you can select just one. So I'm going to do all categories for this. Format, you can choose you can change the date format, and I'll show you what that means in a second. Your content length. Right now, I did fill in excerpt information for my blogs. You may not be doing that, and you may need to select show content rather than showing the excerpt. I could decide not to use a post excerpt, and I can change the length. If I only wanted it to have 50 words or 50 characters, I could do that just to keep it shorter. My elements, do I want it to show a featured image? I can turn that off, and we can see what that looks like. I could have a show read more button so that they can get to the website or to the full post. I don't want it to show the author maybe, but I do want it to show the date, and I'm not going to bother showing the categories, I don't think. We don't have comments on our website. I will show the excerpt, and we'll see, and then we'll show the pagination. And again, we can add a module link, but probably because you have a bunch of posts that you are already linking, you're not going to be using the module link here. Background again, and then your admin label. Again, I'm just leaving this as blog, but you may want to change it to children's events or upcoming programs or something like that to describe what the content of that blog is. So with those changes, I am now not going to see the featured image. I no longer see I see the date that it was there. I see these different pieces here, and then I can see some older entries, and it will paginate back through older and newer entries. And it is going to put them in date order in this case. So there's some different options for modifying your blog module. And then the slider module, again, uses that exact same information. It just presents it in the animated way. And there's a couple more features to this one. So we're going to take a little bit longer look at the different settings within your post slider. Again, half the battle is remembering what these modules are actually called. This is called a post slider. So there's the blog module and there's the post slider module. I may occasionally refer to it as the blog slider, but it is a post slider. So when you add your post slider module, it's going to again ask you for how many you want to appear, which categories you want it to come from. And if you don't check anything, it will just select everything that is there. Let's say I only want the website 101 to appear. I will click on that. You can change the order of the date, or you can do it title A to Z if you don't want it to limit, or you don't want it to be in date order. You can add the read more button. And there's, you can also add some different items to that button. Let's do the page excerpt and just see. I haven't really played with this, so you could really do some very specific modification, but I don't know that I really want to go down that today. Let's see. Oops. So let's see. I don't really need a button. Let's just see what's the current date. And I can have it give me a specific date. We'll see what that looks like. I do want it to use the post excerpts, my excerpt length. Maybe I only want this to be 100 characters. Now, elements. Do you want to show the arrows? And the arrows are these arrows that allow you to browse ahead and behind in the module category. So you can turn that off and on. You can show the controls, which are these little buttons down here. You can show the read more button, or you can turn off the read more button, and that is right in there. So I'll turn off the read more for no good reason other than that. I could turn off my featured image. I'm not quite sure why I would want to do that, since the whole point of the slider is to be visually appealing, but it's an option. You can add a link to your entire module, although again, you probably don't want to do that if you have each individual post linking. And then you have your background, your same background and your same admin label that I am leaving alone. So I'm going to preview those changes. And so now I've lost my featured image because I turned that off, and I only have 3 posts here, and those posts are part of the category of the website training category. I might go back and turn those back on. So I do want a featured image. Oh, and you can change where your featured image is located. Let me quick, let's see, show read. I do want to show the read more. Oh, show post meta. I'll show you what that does. That gives you the author date and information about the post. The other thing you can do is decide where you want your featured image to be placed. You can do it in the left, right, top, or bottom. And so right now now it looks almost like that blog did, where it has the featured image on the top and the accessing your website for the first time. And now that's right, my read more, now instead of saying read more, it says the date that it was published. So you can make a lot of different choices. I think most of the time the default choices are really good, useful choices. I have read more in my button again. And I'm going to make my featured image in the background and see if it takes that. There. So now you have your featured image behind, but this can make it a lot harder to read. So again, thinking about website accessibility, if you have you would have to play with a lot of the CSS in the background to make sure that that actually looks readable to your audience. Also note the website meta is this information, which of course it's not going to let me highlight for you. This by super admin June 30th website 101 and the number of comments, that's the website meta that I think I will turn off. That's an element, show post meta. I'm just going to turn that off because I don't think it's necessary. And I think I want to put this back. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, and now I have this back as our website image. One other thing to make note of in a post slider is under design, the animation. So the animation is that sliding that happens on our post slider. And so you can change the speed. And this is what happened. I did send out an email a little while ago that some people's sliders might not be sliding. This is where you would fix that if it stops sliding for some reason. You can turn off the automatic animation, or you can turn it on, and you can change the speed at which that happens. Let's just see what happens when I do something obnoxious and make it like 200 milliseconds. And now you see that's way too short, but it's kind of fun to see. So you probably want to be around 4,000 to 6,000 milliseconds on your animation on your pulse slider. So that's design, animation, and we're going to turn that back to 6,000. That seemed to be 6,000 milliseconds seemed to be pretty good. Okay, we'll just update our page here. And let that reload, and now we're back to our slower transformation. And if that's too slow for you, you can adjust it to something that feels better. So those are the first 6 types of Divi modules. I'm going to very quickly show you how you would do this on the front end. If I were to click the Enable Visual Builder, and I can edit on the front just as well as I can on the back. Don't restore, we're fine. And actually, which one was I was going to show you here. Sometimes it's nice to edit as you go, so that you can see like, okay, how many letters do I actually want to have? Characters do I actually want to have? Is that too much? Is that too little? Use the post excerpt. Because I'm using that, it just gives it a cleaner look than if I turn off. Then it's going to have the jump to video and this other website, this other information rather than the nice clean excerpt information. If I only wanted to see the website 101, this is a really nice live view of what we're looking at as far as that goes. And I think when it says post count and it gives you 2, it actually is going to show you 2 from every category. I'm not sure if that's exactly correct. Yeah, I think that's what's happening here, is it's pulling 2 from each category. And if I wanted to see what it looks like if I were to do pages instead, then it's not going to find any results because there really isn't any content for pages yet on my website or for media. So building on the front end sometimes is really nice for immediately seeing what your results and your changes have. If I don't want to show the date, it'll turn off the date. It'll show it to me what it looks like here. Turn off the pagination. So it's only going to show those 3, and it's not going to show me the historic ones. Okay. So you can do that editing on the front end. Very quickly, I'm going to just make a quick change here. Let's say with my row, I wanted to have more space for my gallery and less space for my other image. I can change the layout of my row right here, either on the front side or the back side. I can make it a triple column. And then I would have image module, gallery module. Notice what it does is it automatically changes it from being 2 wide to 1 and making it long. And then you can add another module here. So there are advantages to using both the front end and the back end editor because you can see the impact that you're having right away when you're making certain changes. So if I do this, it's probably going to give it to me 3 wide, and then I can change the number of images that it shows me. I might do right here because I know I have 7 images, but let's say I want 6 images. So now it's going to show 6 images here, and I'll still have one more on my next page. Okay. So that's what I have for you today. Text module, toggle box, image module, gallery module, blog module, and post slider module. Any questions or thoughts or places on your website that you would want to see some help with?
This is very helpful because I have a page that describes 3 different book clubs that's very long.
Mm-hmm.
And to see the third book club, you have to scroll a lot. But if I put them into the toggle box modules, you can just have the name of each book club and you click the one you want, and there it is.
And it drops it down.
And I'm assuming that would work much better on a phone as well, because you're not scrolling and scrolling and scrolling.
Yes.
So this has been helpful. Thank you.
And that's actually a good question. Let me bring up a page that gets used with a lot. Where is any of our meetings on the WVLS website? Oh, no. Of course, I'm not going to be able to think of it. Where is Board of Trustees and Communications. Agendas and minutes. This works really well too. Book clubs is a great example. Agendas and minutes are another one where if you are listing, in the case of the WVLS, they have a gazillion exhibits, 23 exhibits. Rather than having to scroll through an entire page, you can put them all into one toggle box and have that as a drop down, and it saves a ton of scrolling. So it's a really good example. Okay.
Here's a question for you. Can you turn toggle boxes that are already on there for like a year?
Mm-hmm.
A smaller one, like put 3 of those, like if you wanted to put all of 2022 together.
Yeah.
Just the toggle box to do that, or would you have to do it all as a fresh creation?
I think you would have to do it all as fresh. I don't think you can drop a toggle into a toggle because all you can put in a toggle is what would go into that content box.
Okay.
I think the other option that you could do is like you might have your current meeting minutes here and then like your past years, the way they have the meeting materials over here, you would play with the layout. So you would have you'd have this wide row across the top. You might break it out into 2/3 and 1/3 over here, or 1/4. And then when you put toggles in here, it will automatically resize the toggle to 1/4 size. So you could have your big toggles being the current year toggle, or something like that, and then have past archival as just smaller boxes. And that's where you have to really get used to Divi, because you can go in and you can force resizing on Divi, but if you use that row and know which modules you're putting into the different sizes on the rows, you have more, you just work with Divi better and you don't have to do as much playing. So that might be a way to do it. But you would probably have to recreate a module for that.
I'm looking to add in all our past minutes, and it's like, I don't want to do tons of.
Yeah. And I think that's where, okay, here's a philosophical question. The WVLS page is an example of how many years do you keep records online? I am of the camp that your website is not your permanent archive. It is not the place where you know, like this goes back to 2015. My opinion for board minutes is online 5 years, for 3 years, 5 years at the most. And then after that, it becomes the public record that you have on file and you are able to respond to those public records, but it doesn't necessarily need to be on your website.
Yeah, ours is getting a little long. It's like, I want
Yeah.
to.
Yeah. But then again, sometimes it's just easier to keep adding to your website. But that also goes back to your whole media gallery question. Documents take up much less room than images, but they also do take up room. So the more room you take up in your website, the slower it's going to respond.
And I noticed that your minutes are actually a web page as opposed to a PDF, which is probably what a lot of us do. Is there any disability reasons for having a PDF as opposed to a page?
Well,
Or,
these are all PDFs.
oh, okay, but you
Yeah.
just have a lot of
Yep.
exhibits and so on.
Yep.
Never
They're
mind.
just all dropped in. So if I were to go back to my toggle, let's see very quickly here.
Okay.
Okay, so if I come in and I edit my toggle box, because it is just that standard content editor that's available to me, and it's just being slow. Come on. Boy, looks like my internet went to lunch early. This is also why I'm not always a fan of the front end visual editor, is it seems like sometimes it gets hung up in loops more so than the back, but there is that. So if you want to, this is,
Okay.
you would do this, and then you can insert your link, or you can go up to add media, and you can upload your PDF file, and that's how you would add the PDF to that. If you did have another place where it was all web pages, you could just create this as a general link and put in the URL. And again, I would probably have the target be a new window. But if you're going to add the media, and then you would just upload your PDF to that.
I think that's what we did.
And that's pretty standard practice.
Yep.
So
That's what I did. I just did I added the insert.
cool. Yeah, so that's really all you can do with the toggle box, is you can add links, and you can add images in here. You can add anything that would live in your media library. You can put into your toggle box. Let's just control save that. Went too fast for my internet again. And when I click on that, you can put images, and you can put a lot of things into your toggle box. You can put, but just know that it's not going to be as dynamic as being able to like nest toggles within toggles, or put an image gallery into your toggle, or put a blog into your toggle. Each module is its own standalone piece. So you can't just nest them into each other. Let's see. That's the other downside, because you'll notice actually that's something that I can show you as I have created this new website. The downside to doing one of these, I'm doing these as posts. I can't create a light box out of this. So I can't create a situation right now where I could click on one of these images and have you could pop it up and make it larger. So when you see images in here, they are truly just static images. And that's one of the downsides. But if it's a PDF, you can't make it larger either. So I guess I figure that's okay.
Well, could you have a second image that's larger and make the first small one clickable?
Yes.
It's more work.
It's a lot more work. And right now, my goal is just to get the content up there, kind of as quickly as possible. So at this moment, we are just going to
Yeah, of course.
keep it simple and hopefully useful.
Mhm.
Okay. Well, I'm at least going to stop the recording right now. If I can figure out how to stop the recording.